How's it going, guys? So I decided to come out to Cultus today to answer all your questions. Spent a lot of time out here anyway, so I thought I might as well come out here and answer some questions. So you guys gave me a ton of questions, so I sorted through them, and yeah, I picked like about 20 questions or so. So yeah, here we go. So a question I get quite often is, are you Dream? So I guess there's a pretty popular YouTuber, his channel's Dream, and his name's also Clay. So I get people saying a lot, like, hey, are you that guy? So definitely not. Yeah, sorry to let you down. Have you ever been seriously injured or hurt while diving? So not too bad. I've had a couple scrapes and bumps, bruises, all that kind of stuff. I had one pretty good injury where right up here I smashed my face on the side of a rock going down the river. That hurt. That was probably one of the worst ones, but nothing too serious for me, fortunately. So I was only wondering if you were more of an Apple guy or an Android guy. So I'm definitely more of an Android guy, actually. I find a ton of iPhones for some reason. So there's another question that is here. Why do you only find iPhones? I have no idea. I don't know if people that have iPhones are more prone to dropping them, or if there's just more iPhones than Androids. I'm really not sure. But yeah, I'd probably find 75% Apple compared to Androids. How long can I hold my breath? So if I'm static, which means not moving at all, I can hold my breath for about 3 minutes. There's a lot of people I dive with that can go way higher than me, but that's about 3 minutes is my max. And while I'm swimming or diving, max is about a minute. So I don't like to do more than that. It's just not the safest when you try to push yourself beyond your limits and what you're not comfortable with. So about a minute is my max dive time. And most of the time I'm only 30 to 40 seconds while I'm underwater. So what type of wetsuit do I wear and what thickness? So I was actually just set up really recently with Bouchot. So the guys at Diving Sports are super awesome, and they were able to help me make a deal with Bouchot, and I'm super stoked to show it off. So the wetsuit I had before that was Bouchot as well, and it's a 7mm open cell wetsuit, and it's so warm in our Canadian waters. In the summer, it's not as necessary, but even in our oceans, 5-7mm all year long for sure. Same with my socks, gloves. It's all, I guess use 5mm for those. And then I just got some super sweet carbon fiber fins, and I'm excited to show you guys those in this next video. And yeah, snorkel mask. I just like the masks with the GoPro mounts. I just like to have my hands free when I'm diving. Like I said, the guys at Diving Sports, and obviously I'm a big fan of the Bouchot brand now. So if you guys need any gear or have any questions, I'm gonna link to Diving Sports channel. Andrew there goes through some pretty in-depth, all sorts of stuff they have in the shop. If you're curious, he's the guy to ask. You can ask me, but I'm probably gonna refer you to him anyway. So yeah, I think they're the only shop in all of Canada that actually sells freediving specifically. So there's a few scuba shops that do a little bit of both, but if you want the best knowledge and know-how for all the freediving stuff, go check out the guys at Diving Sports. So, all right. What camera do you use for underwater shots? So I just use GoPros, nice and easy. I used to use the Acaso brand, but I just kind of like the GoPros better now. The GoPro I used for most of my video shoots last year is actually a GoPro 7 that I found in Cultus, and I wasn't able to find the owner. This video is still up somewhere. I could probably put a link to it here. But yeah, so the GoPro 7 is what I used for a long time, and a couple months ago I finally bought my first GoPro 9, and it's been awesome for me. I did have to buy an extra housing for it because I found it around 30-35 feet, which is the recommended which is not recommended to go deeper than that anyway. It actually just shuts off. So sometimes I was going down and it just pressed pause, and then on my way back up I could hear it turn on again. So it's kind of funny, but yeah, so GoPro 9 is what I use for most of my shots now. So what is the best item that you find in the water? So the most consistent item I find is sunglasses. Sometimes they're pretty nice ones, and I like to find those. I find a lot of phones, obviously. That's why probably a lot of you are here. But my favorite item that I found was a 22 handgun that I found a couple months back, and that was super sick. It was my first real handgun, and a real gun in general. And I found a Glock replica brand BB gun before. That was pretty cool, but yeah, my first real gun, that was probably my favorite. My favorite color. So I'm just gonna say blue. Water, blue, all that kind of stuff. What age did I scuba dive first? So actually I'm pretty new to the scuba diving community. I haven't dove very often. I'm less than 10 overall dives, I guess. So just earlier this year I finally got my scuba certificate, but most of my stuff is free diving. So I've done that about a year free diving, and I've snorkeled almost all my life. What is your craziest catch with a spear gun? So I don't actually spear fish very often at all. I actually use like a fish guard most of the time, and I don't post fishing stuff on this channel almost at all. But yeah, nothing really crazy with the spear gun. Got a couple of big salmon and like lingcod and stuff, like fishing regularly. But yeah, nothing really cool with the spear gun too much. So why you sent so many phones only to the phone repair guru rather than keeping them yourself? So that's a couple parts of that. I'm not a super tech guy when it comes to cell phones and stuff. So the most I'm going to be able to do is kind of open the phone up, dry it out as much as I can and see if it turns on. Other than that, I use a little SIM card trick, and then hopefully the person has got a new phone by then. So honestly, if I was to use my phone, it's probably going to be less than a week before I get a new phone. And so in that aspect, that's how I'm able to contact the owners when they get a new phone. And most of the time, people's phone number stays the same. That's how I'm able to get back to them. So a lot of people are asking me like, how do I call them if I have their phone? Well, most people get a new phone within a week. So I wait a couple weeks, call them a few times. Sometimes they don't answer, sometimes they'll text me back, and that's just how it is. The other reason is I've given a couple phones away in the past, but I've decided to not do that anymore. Just in case there's some personal information on the phone. It's kind of a learning process for me, honestly. So yeah, I don't want to give people's personal information away because phones, they're dropped and who knows what's really on them. It could be banking information, it could be personal pictures. So it's just not for me to give away to, honestly, strangers on the internet. What province do I live in? So I live in BC, so specifically Chilliwack. That's why I'm at Cult Lake so much. But I go all over the Fraser Valley and I go to the island when I can or when I'm allowed to. So do you like hold your breath or do you have something that you breathe with? So 99% of the time I'm freediving or snorkeling, so just hold my breath. I have my little snorkel around the surface, but as soon as I dip below the surface, it's just hold my breath. I do scuba dive a little bit, but not very often, and I think I only have 2 videos on my YouTube channel that are scuba diving, and like I said, it's very rare that I'm scuba diving. I find freediving a bit more of a challenge and a sport. I'm just a very active person, so I find it a lot more fun to freedive personally. But there are pros and cons to each of them, obviously. So obviously scuba diving, you can stay down for a lot longer and theoretically go deeper. But I like the freedom that freediving has. You're literally free, there's nothing holding you back. I can swim way faster and it's just a lot more fun, more of an active activity for me. So have I ever had a mad customer when returning a phone? And thank you for subbing and putting the bell on, I guess. I've never had a mad customer. I've had a couple of people kind of confused why I'm texting them, how I found their phone. A couple of people think I'm trying to scam them, which is kind of funny. But honestly, if somebody just called me and it's like, hey, did you lose your phone a year, 2 years ago in the lake? I'd be kind of like skeptical too. So I've had a couple of people a little skeptical, but I've never had anyone mad. Yeah, I've returned quite a few things. I've never had anyone mad. So what is the biggest and most expensive things you have found? So biggest, there's a couple of canoes and some rowboats that I pulled out. I guess those are the biggest. Yeah. And most expensive thing I found. So a couple of years back, before I really started posting YouTube videos or anything like that, I found a wedding ring at Cult Lake actually, and I was able to get it back to the owner. So that was pretty awesome. It was a men's 14K wedding ring, had little diamonds on it. And yeah, they were super appreciative, got that back to them. But I think that's probably the most valuable thing I've ever found. So how did I originally discover my love of diving? So I grew up in Harrison Lake. I've been in Chilliwack. I worked at Cult Lake for a long time. So I love the water. I've always swam and kind of snorkeled around. When I was young, I had one of those big magnets and used to dunk them in the water and kind of see what kind of stuff pulls out. A lot of nails and stuff like that. But I think, yeah, I found a pocket knife when I was really young and that kind of piqued my interest in kind of treasure hunting kind of thing. Yeah, so in the last year and a half, 2 years, I spent a lot more time at Cultus and I was trying to find, the treasure things. But the more treasure I was finding, the more trash we were finding too. So that's how I met up with my buddy Steve. He's on Instagram just a bit farther, so go check him out. But he's really into the environmentalism. And yeah, I started getting a lot more into just pulling up trash out of lakes because you don't see it from the surface. So as soon as you go below the surface, you see so much trash that's in these lakes, and it's such a real shame. And since then, I also met Henry and his group, Divers for Cleaner Lakes and Oceans. So spent quite a few dives with them, and yeah, they pull out thousands and thousands of pounds of trash every year, and that's just super awesome. So yeah, kind of slowly started evolving and got a bit of a bigger group going now, and I have tons of friends that come out. So thank you guys for all the comments and support, but I do have to give a huge shout out to so many people that actually come out and dive. A lot of friends come out and dive with me all the time. Not very many of them have YouTube channels or Instagram or anything like that. But yeah, there's quite a few people that actually come out with me behind the scenes, and such a big thanks to them. But for everyone that I know that has a YouTube channel, I'll definitely put it in the description below. Go check them out. So when you're diving, what is the weirdest things you found while swimming underwater? I think the thing that I find the strangest is finding urns or bags of ashes. I wish people would spread them. I've had the unfortunate times to spread a couple family members' ashes, and yeah, you take them out of the container and you spread them in the lake or river or wherever you're doing it. But I would highly recommend everyone don't throw the bags or urn itself into the lake or river. It just stays there for so long, and you know, eventually someone's gonna find it and take it out, which isn't really good, especially if somebody doesn't know what they're pulling out. So yeah, urns and ashes are probably one of the strangest things I find. But yeah. And then for a bonus thing for you guys, I want you guys to answer a couple questions. So I had Henry and Mitch both ask something, and I want you guys to discuss them in the comments below. So I'll put those here. So what is the meaning of life? And how big is space? So I want to hear you guys' responses to those in the comments down below. So if you guys have any more questions, I might try and do this every once in a while, but those are kind of some of the big questions I get all the time. I don't think I'm forgetting anything, but yeah, if you have any more questions, put them down below and I'll do this again in the future. So thanks, guys.